So you're moving to Vermont and waterfront living is a must? Have you plugged in a home search and became overwhelmed by the amount of options Vermont has to offer due to the abundance of lakes and ponds that you didn't even know existed? Don't worry, we're about to touch on 5 of our top picks for lakefront living. Hey guys, my name is Ben Cote, local real estate agent here in northern Vermont, and I get a lot of calls from people just like you looking for waterfront living here in the Green Mountain State. Most of the calls I get are from people looking for a primary or secondary vacation home on the water. However, Vermont provides a handful of great options if you're looking for a waterfront investment property as well. Which, if you are in the market for an investment property here in Vermont, there are a few other things to consider, so if that's you, send me a message and I'm happy to chat about what that looks like. So I've broken it down and I've picked 5 great options if you're looking to get on the water in or around a Vermont lake town. These picks aren't in any particular order, and I've chosen a few options in both the northern and southern part of the state. If you've already set your sights on a particular lake, let me know in the comments below, or feel free to send me a direct message with any questions or concerns you may have, and I'm happy to dig a little deeper. All right, kicking off with a lake that sits in the western part of the state, the largest lake that lies entirely within Vermont's borders, we have Lake Bomoseen. Lake Bomoseen is located near Castleton and Hubbardton in Rutland County and is 24 acres large with an average depth of about 25 feet. If you're a fan of camping, the lake is home to Bomoseen State Park that offers camping, lean-to sites, RV sites, and plenty of options for boating, swimming, fishing, etc. Outside of the state park, they have a marina and public beach and a boat launch. The rest of the lake is home to about 1,000 residents that range from year-round homes to short-term vacation rentals. Little fun fact about Lake Bomoseen: if you happen to be someone who enjoys fishing, Lake Bomoseen was ranked number 1 in the state for fishing lakes. Since most lakes offer all of the same water activities across the board, let's talk a little bit about the surrounding areas. Lake Bomoseen is a pretty quiet rural area. Like most of Vermont, if you're looking to venture out for something to do, you're probably looking at about 30 to 45 minutes to get there. Unless enjoying the outdoors is on the agenda, then you don't have far to go at all. Some of the big attractions in the area is Killington Ski Resort. So if you like to ski or snowboard, Killington's a very popular mountain within a short drive. Killington also has activities year-round from hiking, mountain biking, golf, and then your typical winter activities as well. Killington makes a ton of their own snow, so they tend to stay open later into the spring than a lot of the other resorts. Some other popular ski resorts around the same distance would be Okemo, Bromley, and Stratton is a tad further, but they're all certainly popular options within the area. If you're considering an investment property, this may also be a great area to check out. Another fun area that's about 45 minutes away is Lake George over in New York. Lake George is a popular place for shopping, restaurants, camping. It's also home to Six Flags Great Escape. It's pretty quiet during the winter months, but during the summer, it's a fairly popular destination due to the amount of activities in the area. A couple of cool spots to add to the bucket list for down here is the Wilson Castle in Proctor and Hildene, the Lincoln family home in Manchester. Wilson Castle has some neat history you can check out at wilsoncastle.com. Wilson Castle is also available for haunted tours, or if you're into it, you can book the entire castle and conduct your own paranormal investigation. They also host weddings and parties too. Hildene, the Lincoln family home, was home to Robert Lincoln, son of Abraham. Robert was the only child of Abe Lincoln that made it to adulthood. He and his wife built the home in 1905, and it was home to only Lincoln family descendants until 1975, which was longer than any other Lincoln residence. The home now offers a welcome center, tours, nature trails, and a few other things that make it worth the trip. So all in all, if you're looking for a place that is low-key, surrounded by nature, and still a short-ish drive to some local attractions or day trip activities, Lake Bomoseen is certainly a solid contender. Next, jumping about 20 minutes south to a lake that shares a lot of the same options as we talked about earlier, since it's pretty close in proximity, is Lake St. Catherine. Similar to that of Lake Bomoseen, Lake St. Catherine also enjoys a lot of scenery that Vermont's known for. Lake St. Catherine is a bit smaller, coming in around 850 acres in size, but it's also home to another state park that's roughly 117 acres that shares the same amenities that pretty much all Vermont state parks are known for, which is camping, boating, beaches, nature trails, etc. Lake St. Catherine is known for being extremely clean and clear, which makes it a great lake for swimming. The fishing is good there as well, so again, both Lake Bomoseen and Lake St. Catherine would be excellent choices for those that like to fish. Similar to Lake Bomoseen, the towns surrounding the lake are pretty rural. So if you're closer to Lake Bomoseen and Castleton, driving to the Rutland area may be your best bet for groceries, hardware stores, specialty items, pharmacies, hospitals, larger shopping areas. And if you're over on the Lake St. Catherine side, closer to Wells, the Poultney area, your best bet would probably be to take a short drive over to Granville, New York. Lake St. Catherine and Lake Bomoseen are situated on Route 30, which is the major west side, north-south route from Middlebury with fairly easy access to Burlington, to Manchester, and then east to Brattleboro through Interstate 91. The area is less than an hour to New York's Interstate 87, which can take you almost anywhere in the northeast part of the country that you'd want to go. You also have close access to Vermont's Route 4, which is the main east-west highway running from New York's Interstate 87 all the way to New Hampshire's Interstate 89 and 91. Rutland has Southern Vermont Regional Airport, which has daily flights to Boston, and then you can have all of their connections. Or you're about 2 hours shy from Burlington International Airport, which can take you anywhere in the world. All right, the next 2 lakes on the list, we're going to take you into Vermont's Northeast Kingdom, which I highly recommend. Even if you're not going to live in this area or you're just visiting Vermont, I highly recommend you take a drive through the Northeast Kingdom. If you were to Google Vermont landscapes or Vermont foliage, this is definitely where some of those images that pop up are coming from. So first on the list is a smaller lake coming in at 789 acres located in Greensboro, Vermont, and that's Caspian Lake. Similar to Lake St. Catherine, Caspian Lake is also one of Vermont's cleanest lakes, which makes it a great choice for swimming and boating. It's clear enough to snorkel, and it's also a popular spot for year-round fishing. The Northeast Kingdom is a pretty popular spot for vacationers year-round. So Caspian Lake is home to seasonal dwellers, full-timers, and a handful of rental properties as well. All types of water and boating activities take place on this lake, and if you're big into water skiing, Caspian Lake even has its own section of the lake where water skiers can set up a slalom course. Caspian Lake likes to remind its visitors that they are home to the common loon, which are not to be disturbed. However, if you have never heard the call of a loon first thing in the morning or a little later in the evening, it's one of the coolest and probably creepiest sounds you've ever heard. However, once you recognize that sound and know where it's coming from, any lake that's lucky enough to have it, I think adds a uniqueness that many people won't ever experience. So typically, if there's a lake that has loons that return year after year, that spot is generally at the top of my personal list. Close by to Caspian Lake, there are numerous trails for hikers, whether it be Bar Hill, Wheeler Mountain, Mount Norris, and the Mount Elmore Trail. There's also many spots for mountain biking, horseback riding, and cross-country skiing. So year-round opportunities exist in the Northeast Kingdom. From May to October, Greensboro offers a blues jam on the second Saturday of each month, which brings in local breweries, cheesemakers, farmers markets, and organic farms, which create a pretty cool atmosphere and something fun to do each month. The Northeast Kingdom has been an attractive location for artists and craftsmen for years, so you'll get a lot of local shops and galleries along the lake and on the side of the road as you're driving around. Greensboro is also home to the world-famous Circus Smirkus, so each year you'll get a couple of performances right there in town. You'll also find a handful of antique shops, various local festivals, and entertainment, and there's even a nice little golf course in town. So as far as the family goes, Greensboro and the surrounding area certainly can cater to everyone. As far as major, and when we say major cities in Vermont, depending on where you're from, our major is most likely very different than your major, but being in the Northeast Kingdom, you're about 75 miles from any major city. Rutland, Burlington, Essex, Plattsburgh. So keep in mind, yes, the landscape in the Northeast Kingdom is fantastic, but it's definitely rural, which may be a bit of a challenge or a little bit of a shock when you hit your first winter here. Luckily, there are plenty of vacation rental opportunities in the area, so if you're unsure, you could always plan a trip to visit throughout various times of the year. All right, moving on, but staying right here in the Northeast Kingdom, we have Lake Willoughby. Lake Willoughby is just shy of 1,700 acres in size, and it's pretty deep, with parts of the lake going down over 300 feet, which makes for the lake to be pretty cold in temperature. We're starting to get pretty far out there as far as location, so again, it's just something to keep in mind should you choose to call this your home. The drive to Lake Willoughby is along Vermont's 5A, which offers fantastic views year-round, which helps offset the distance you may be traveling to get there. So if you like long drives to or from work, maybe you're somebody who likes to clear your head or decompress on that drive, this may be a great option. A couple of public beaches on Lake Willoughby, one of which is on the north side, so which as you drive past, you may recognize the scenery. If you ever Googled Lake Willoughby, the images that pop up are most likely taken from that spot. Now the second beach, located on the south end of the lake, if you're traveling or visiting with family, you may want to use a bit of caution as that beach is clothing optional. And there are more than a handful of people who take advantage of that freedom. Keep in mind, if you're boating on the lake and you venture down to the southern part, that beach is easily seen from the water side as well, so don't say I didn't warn you. So the main selling points of the Northeast Kingdom are it's very rural, the landscape and scenery are fantastic, and it's home to a ton of opportunities in relation to the outdoors, whether it be hiking, fishing, water activities, snowmobiling, close proximity to the mountains, cross-country skiing, really anything you can think of that you can do outdoors. The Northeast Kingdom most likely checks a lot of those boxes. As far as real estate goes, the issue with Lake Willoughby is that there aren't a ton of opportunities to own direct lakefront property on the lake. There isn't a ton of residential lots, and those that do own them don't tend to get rid of them anytime soon. So lakefront on Willoughby is pretty rare. However, there are homes in the area up on the mountainside that provide great views of the lake, so that's most likely what you would be looking at should you decide to move to the area. Not saying finding lakefront property on Willoughby is impossible, it's just not that common. Now before we get into the last lake on the list, I'm sure you probably have questions or you would like more specifics on a given area. Feel free to drop them in the comments below or shoot me a direct message, and I'm happy to dive into it with more detail. Or if there's a lake on your list that I didn't touch on, let me know and I can share my thoughts on the lake and its surrounding area. All right, and lastly, the spot that provides probably the biggest opportunity and options as far as lakefront living goes is Lake Champlain. On one side of Lake Champlain is Vermont, on the other is New York State, and then in the middle we have some islands that are also part of the Vermont side as well. Lake Champlain's pretty big, so there's a ton of options from the southern portion where it really starts to open up into a larger body of water. You're looking at the Charlotte, Shelburne area, and making your way north, you have Burlington and Colchester. Continue on a little further north, and now you're looking into Georgia, St. Albans, and the Swanton area. This provides a bunch of options depending on what you're looking for in terms of what's around you. Do you want to be in close proximity of major, again we're talking Vermont's version of major, but major cities, then you should look towards Burlington or the Colchester part of the lake. Or do you prefer something a little more remote, maybe a little quieter with more of a hometown feel, then you probably want to see what the St. Albans Swanton area has to offer. Now, the islands in between the Vermont side and the New York side of the lake is Grand Isle County. So starting on the south side and working our way up towards the Canadian border, we have South Hero, Grand Isle, and then North Hero, and then working our way up beyond that, we have Isle Lamont and Alberg, which are towards the northern end. The islands, as we call it, sort of has its own vibe and community feel. It's pretty quiet during the winter months, but during the summer, there's a ton going on. From farmers markets to festivals to breweries, the boat traffic passing through. It's a pretty cool spot that offers pretty much everything you need to survive, all in one location. So if you're looking for a space that has a solid community feel, the islands may hit the spot. Lake Champlain is probably the best location in regards to ease of travel. You're either close to the bigger cities, the airport's nearby, you can jump on the ferry or take the bridge over to New York, or you can hop on the interstate for easy access to wherever you need to go. In addition, because the lake covers such a wide range of towns, year-round homes with either deeded access or direct waterfront are much easier to come by and fit a variety of budgets depending on what you're looking for. Now, because Lake Champlain covers such a wide reach of towns, if there's certain amenities or attractions you need to be within close proximity, or maybe you're looking for something specific in regards to your family's needs, reach out and we can get more specific on what you need in order to narrow that focus a little bit for where your target area should be. Hopefully I was able to shed some light on what lakefront living in Vermont may look like for you. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe below, and hit that bell for future notifications. And again, if you're thinking about making the move to Vermont, whether it be in 2 weeks or 2 years, I'm happy to help. Thanks for watching, guys.